Have you ever found yourself thinking, maybe this book will have the answers I'm seeking? Perhaps you've listened to hundreds of podcasts, read shelves full of personal development books like me, done the courses, learned about the trauma, attachment styles, your nervous system, manifestation, inner child work, human design, maybe even kinesiology. You understand so much, and yet you still don't quite trust yourself. If this feels familiar, you might be living from the seeker pattern. Hi, I'm Nikki Kerman, and welcome to the Practical Mystic podcast, where universal wisdom meets modern life. Last week we explored the anchor alignment pattern, the person who feels responsible for holding everything together. These alignment patterns are how we respond under stress. And today we're going to explore another pattern that I call the seeker pattern. And I have a feeling if you're listening to this podcast, there's a good chance you'll recognize a little bit of yourself here. One of my clients once said to me years ago something I've never forgotten. She said, "Nikki, I know exactly what I need to do. I just can't stop doing the old patterns. I can't break out of where I am." And that sentence stayed with me for years. And I see it over and over and over again in myself and the clients I work with. It's not that we're lacking knowledge. In fact, we have access to so much knowledge now we don't quite know what to do with it all. But it's still not transcending into useful techniques or changing our life in a significant way. That client wasn't lacking information. She was overflowing with information. But what she was missing was trust in herself and in the flow of life. The seeker is one of the most intelligent patterns. They're curious, reflective, open-minded. They ask beautiful questions. They're deep thinkers. They genuinely love learning. They're excited about ancient texts as well as modern breakthroughs. They're often the people who introduce everyone else to a new podcast or a new book that they've just read. They're fascinated by how people work. They're deeply self-aware, and these are incredible gifts. But every gift has a shadow. And for the seeker, learning can be a quiet way of delaying living. Have you noticed how easy it is to think, I'll make that decision after I find this piece of information, or I'll start when I've done one more course. I'll build the business when I get the next certificate. I'll trust myself once I understand a bit more. There's always one more piece of information missing before we take action. One more opinion, one more expert, one more podcast, one more answer. The finish line just keeps moving further and further away. Recently, I have had a client who's been procrastinating about starting their own business for a really long time. And they are incredibly intelligent. They have done so many degrees and so many courses, and they know so much about their topic. And yet they feel stuck in their job, or that they can't leave their job because they don't feel like they've yet got enough answers in order to be able to share it with somebody. There's just one more thing we need to be valued, to be worthy, to be acceptable. I don't think the seeker is actually searching for information. I think they're searching for certainty, because certainty feels safe. If I can just know enough, then I won't make the wrong decision. Then I won't fail. Then I won't disappoint anyone. Then I'll know exactly what I need to do next. One of the biggest shifts I've had in my own life came when I realized that my soul already knew. It already had all the answers. It was my mind that was trying to make the truth safe. I remember having this beautiful insight one morning that my soul wasn't searching. It was my mind that was searching. My mind wants guarantees. My soul simply wanted willingness. And that changed everything for me, because I realized I wasn't trying to learn the truth. I was trying to make the truth feel safe enough to act on. And they are such different things. Even recently, in a meditation, I was pondering why I'm stuck on something. I feel like I keep hitting my head on the ceiling. It's something I'm trying to create and push through. And I keep trying to find the answers, and I'm reading the books and I'm doing the work. And it occurred to me to just ask my mind to step aside for a moment and allow my soul self to step in. And when I asked it what it was searching for, it gave me feelings: joy, inspiration, gratitude, awe, fun, laughter. It didn't give me answers around knowledge. It didn't give me any deep wisdom. My soul gave me what I was truly seeking: a way out of my chaos and my uncomfortable feelings around something. And I know when I'm in the seeker pattern, I often mistake thinking for progress. When I learn something new, I feel like I'm getting ahead. And we feel productive when we're learning. We feel like we're moving because we're consuming information, but the knowledge itself doesn't automatically become wisdom. It doesn't automatically take us in the direction of where we think we're going. There comes a point in your life when another book isn't going to change you. It's not going to give you the answers that you're seeking. In fact, sometimes it just opens the door to more questions. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's times when we are learning and growing and exploring our own mind and who we are and our personality. But know that all of that information isn't what drives you. Living what you already know, living from your soul self and the higher wisdom of how you really want to feel, that's what changes your life. One thing I often ask a client is, if you already know the answer, what would you do? It's amazing how quickly an answer arrives, because somewhere underneath all the thinking, we usually know. Not always, but far more often than we realize. The body already knows. The heart already knows. The intuition often has been quietly whispering for months. It's just the mind keeps talking over the top of it, bringing up fears and blocks and challenges. One of the phrases you'll often hear me say is, your body knows before your mind does. Your mind only works with what it's already experienced. It looks backwards, it analyzes, it goes through the filing cabinet and goes, what did we do last time? It compares, it looks at something and says, is that what we want? It tries to predict the future from that past known reality. But your body is different. It notices expansion. It notices energy. It notices emotion. It notices the energy around us. And it recognizes truth way before your mind can think to explain it. That's why so much of my work is about helping you return to your body instead of endlessly analyzing the thoughts in your mind. It doesn't mean that we stop learning. I love learning. I read, I listen to podcasts. I'm endlessly curious. Curiosity is one of the greatest gifts that we have. It's how we find our creativity and to express our true essence. The invitation isn't to stop learning. It's to notice, why am I learning this? Is this expanding me? Am I hoping this is going to save me from myself? Is this taking me toward my goal or away from my goal? The seeker's greatest gift is curiosity, not knowledge. It's curiosity that opens the doors. Curiosity that keeps us growing and searching, and it's also curiosity that keeps us humble. But eventually, curiosity has to become courage. There's a moment when you close the book, or the podcast ends, or the course finishes, and life quietly asks you, what will you choose? Where to from here? If you recognize yourself in today's conversation, I don't want you to stop listening to podcasts. Please don't. I simply want you to notice whether you're collecting wisdom or postponing trust, because those are two different things. Maybe this week you could ask yourself a simple question. What do I already know? Not what do I still need to learn or what's missing, or who has the answer, just what do I already know? And what would happen if I trusted that just a tiny bit more? Remember, the seeker isn't broken. The seeker is beautifully curious. We're simply helping that curiosity find its way home to trust. Because knowing and trusting are not the same thing. At some point, the greatest act of learning is experiencing. Next week, we'll explore the alignment pattern of the attuner, the person who is so beautifully attuned into everyone else, but they've forgotten to be attuned to themselves. If you're curious about which alignment pattern best fits you or where you're at right now, I've created a free 2-minute quiz that I'll link to the show notes. Feel free to explore and learn a little bit more about these alignment patterns. Whatever your platform you're watching or listening to this podcast on, please subscribe and follow to stay up to date with the latest episodes. I'm so honored to have you here with me. Until next time, bye for now.